My name's Ian Bell from Custom Gateway. So the webinar this week is quite a specific topic within the custom product platform. The platform as a whole, for those who are not as familiar with it as others, is a very powerful product personalization platform for embedding into websites, social media platforms, in-store kiosks and things to give people options to be able to create personalized and on-demand products and generate relevant artwork and route that through to suppliers for dropship fulfillment or for your own manufacturing. And there is a full order management system behind it. So within the platform as a whole, there are loads of different features, and sometimes within this webinar program, we want to concentrate on specific areas. So this week's webinar is related to color change options on products. And it's how we handle the options on color changes to make it easier for the customers to understand exactly what they're looking at. So personalization of products online that have product options, it needs to be really easy for the prospective customer to understand. If they're not clear, if they're confused in any way, customers just leave websites. So we need to make sure that the options that you're providing your customers, so they can understand exactly what the product is that they're potentially going to buy, they need to understand exactly what it is and get the visualization correct. Color change options are probably the most common product option that you're likely to come across. So, which is why we've gone into a bit of depth with it this morning. Different product types lend themselves to different methods for accurate representation. So CPP, the custom product platform, provides a lot of choices for you about how products can be set up. So clothing can be one of the most difficult product types due to the texture of the fabric, which may differ from colour to colour, so they may physically look different. So I've got a very simple example here of a t-shirt. So if we're going to sell t-shirts, personalisable or on-demand t-shirts on screen, then on the left we have just a standard white t-shirt, which is absolutely fine. But then in the centre we've got quite a common colour, heather grey, or also sometimes called sports grey. So the white t-shirt is generally 100% cotton, but the heather grey, the sports grey t-shirts, they've generally got about 4 or 6% polyester mixed into the yarn as it's knitted before the shirts are made. So there isn't a way that a standard colour overlay onto the white t-shirt could represent that accurately. So we have a particular method for dealing with situations like this, or if just a flat grey was available, then the image on the right is a white t-shirt with a simple grey colour overlay applied to it. So I'll go into this in a bit more detail, but this is the principle of two different types of colour change options that we have built into the platform. So these are called aspects and also standard colour change options. So I'll go into those in a little bit more detail now. So the two main options. So you can apply colour variations by specifying hexadecimal references applied to the product's mask area. I'll give you a live example shortly, but I just wanted to get the detail set up in the first place. The second option is a feature which we've called aspects within the platform, and it actually replaces the photograph of the product as you change the colour with a photo in the relevant colour. So it is true to the actual colour of the individual product. So understanding these options makes it easier for you to decide which method will work best for the particular product that you are setting up. So it gives the best representation of the product to the customer so they know what they're purchasing. So this is just a screenshot from the platform, from Custom Product Platform. And I've drilled down into the colour areas set up on a particular product. And as we can see here, each line is a separate colour name. It can specify its own individual SKU that can get appended to the SKU of the base product, and there is a hex reference. So to add another colour to this product, there's one click to add a new line. So if I just added a new line at the bottom, I can type sand SA and put in a hex reference. So there's loads of resources on the web where you can find ways to get hex references cross-referenced with Pantone references that you may get from your manufacturer or from your base supplier. So they may quote Pantone references, or they may give CMYK values, and those can easily be translated into hex references. And then it also gives you the option to be able to add a particular price. So maybe a white t-shirt, for example, may be one price, but the coloured t-shirts may be a different price. So you can add a price differential in here as well. The second method, the aspects method, actually swaps out photographs. So the products themselves are set up in a different way. So each one of these photos of the t-shirt are separate photographs. So when the customer is looking for the colour of the product they're after, they're actually exchanging the base photograph rather than just switching a colour overlay. So what I wanted to do, if I just go out of this for a second, I've got a few live examples set up here. So this is the URL of the product that's been generated. It's just running full screen in this browser window. So as we can see here, we have the personalization tabs over on this side. This would all be embedded in an iframe, usually on the product page, but this is just to show for an example. So the actual name here could quite easily just be changed to colours, so the customer knows exactly what they're doing. So as you change from colour to colour, it is actually changing a photograph within the iframe. So as you go to add some text to the products, and then this is just set up with two colour options for the text. But if we go back to the aspects tab, we can still obviously change the colour of the shirt by switching the photograph out behind the text that you've just applied. And then this one's also set up with attributes because it's clothing items, so this also gives you different size options, so these can be set up as needed, and then just a straightforward add to cart which passes it through into the shopping cart in the website. So these actual thumbnails, they could just be switched out for just a flat colour, so that could just be white, and that just could be a red square, so that, and with a title of colour, it's really clear for the customer to see. But you also have the option to add a thumbnail image. Now, if we look at this in the platform, so I'm logged into our platform here, custom product platform. So I've just searched for the products ID for this product, and here's the product. So if I just go into the product setup, as it loads, it goes into the basic details. So normally, because this is set up with aspects, if I go into the color areas first, there is still a default color area, but there are no colors applied in this section at all. They're all dealt with in this aspects section down here. So as you log into it, you can just click the plus to add a new aspect, or if I drill down into the options for this particular one, this will then show that we have the photographs of the products and the relevant mask area, and you can set the name and the SKU of the particular product. You can apply the price in the same way, so it gives you all of the same options as the color overlay method, but each time you're changing the color, or what the customer appears to be doing is changing the color, actually switching out the photograph. So in terms of the white grey and heather grey t-shirt we saw before, then this would be a far better method for that particular product. If we look at a different product type, this is in a live website. So this is using the color overlay method, and this has started from a photograph of a white t-shirt with a mask created all the way around the area with the label reversed out. So as you are changing the color of the product, all this is doing is switching out the color overlay onto the same base photograph of the product. So if we look at the sports grey version here, the sports grey may well look like a flat grey. This is the representation this particular customer has decided to take. But you can see there isn't any fleck in the fabric here, so because it's just applying the colour overlay, but it gives a very good representation of a grey t-shirt, and all of the other colours I think work really well. And all we need to check in the first place is there is a really good photograph in the first place to show the texture of the folds and things in the fabric. I mean, this is specific for clothing. On other products, then it may well be easier just to use the color overlay as opposed to the aspects, but it's just dependent on what you think is most appropriate, so the best way to portray the products to your customer. So if you look at the way that this product is set up, just in the same way, as I click into the detail here, and then if I went into the aspects, there aren't any set up down here, but in the color areas, so we have the default color area set up here, and then as you go into it, you can see that all of the colors are added, and the process to add another color is simply click add color, which creates a new line at the end, which you can add in the name, a SKU reference for it, and put in a hex reference. And then if I was to do that and then click save, that would add an additional color into the color palette once you'd refresh the page on the front end. So it's a very straightforward method to be able to do it. So the decisions really are, if you've got very flat colored products, then it may be fine just to use a color overlay. But if you've got things with textures in, then it may be better to be able to use the aspects feature. So what we want to be able to do with the platform is to give you a method to be able to set up the products in a most appropriate way so that the customer feels confident in the product that they're actually purchasing. I can just flick back to the presentation just to go through a few notes. So in summary, an accurate representation of the products is vital for customer confidence. CPP offers different methods to suit all different product types, but really the important point is that from a product setup point of view, you have complete flexibility and methods available to display your products in ways that best reflects the quality of the product. So ultimately, the buyer feels confident in the product that they're buying. If you're a supplier to other e-commerce retailers, this is also important so that the retailer feels confident in your products and it will generate sales for them. The CPP has all the tools you need to make sure your products reflect their true quality while giving the buyer the ability to personalize them and see a true reflection of how they will be produced. So they know basically what they're going to get when the package arrives. Good quality product templates with live personalization previews really do increase conversion ratios. We've had lots of stories from successful customers of ours whose conversion ratios have gone up massively because of the live preview of the products. So us as providers of the platform have to make sure that we give you the tools to be able to set your products up as efficiently as you can, and also with all of the options that you would need to be able to make the visuals of the products as lifelike as possible. So we could go into this in an awful lot more detail, but that gives you a good overview of how different color options are available on products to make it accurate for you to be able to set them up. So that was all I wanted to cover today. Thank you very much for attending. If there are any questions, I can always deal with them after the webinar, but my contact details are here, so if anyone would like to contact me, then please feel free. And then this has obviously been just a very small element of what the platform will do, but it's a very important part. So that's why we wanted to cover it off on today's webinar. So thank you again for attending, and I'm sure we'll be in touch soon.